after that previous series, it is now 100% confirmed that we will have a new IEM champion. Somebody will be lifting that IEM trophy that has never lifted the IEM trophy before. I mean, it's going to be an amazing moment for one of these 5 players that is still left in this tournament. Now we will figure out who is going to be the final 4. In the bottom left side, we're looking at the main base of the best Protoss player in the world. There is very little debate about that. Representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Katowice, make some noise for your hero.
We've got a quick little request here from Dark for a pause. I'm assuming we'll find out what that is all about in just a moment. Probably one of his settings that needs adjusting. Either way, this is going to be a very exciting match of StarCraft 2. Dark has been showing a lot of proxy hatcheries, not only in the online cups, but also in this particular tournament. He's been playing a lot of macro, a lot of timing attacks, and, well, herO. I mean, if I want to make a list of all the builds he's been playing over the last couple of months, I think I don't have enough pieces of paper at home, man. He's been playing so many different styles and strategies. I think this is going to be an absolute banger.
A lot of them do go back to being aggressive. herO is just incredibly good in finding some damage in the early game, and he takes it from there. I do believe that we are good to continue. So go ahead, Loco, and introduce your fellow Zerg nerd.
Spotted right here in the top right-hand corner of Royal Blood. That's map number 1 in this best of 5 series. Make some noise for Dark.
A very messy performance yesterday in the round of 12, but a nail-biting one, and one that he did still manage to close out in the end. But basically Zerglings, even though there were Archons and Colossus, and of course he had a couple Ravages and Roaches in the mix, but it was mostly the +3 Lings sniping every single Nexus at a just all-out counter-attack assault. And before Creator realized it, he lost every single main base, and Dark knew it. At that point, he had it in the back, because there was nothing that Creator could have done anymore. Don't think we're going to see another game quite like that, but there is a good chance that we will see Dark counter-attacking quite a bit throughout this series, because herO is just such an in-your-face kind of Protoss that it's often hard to fight his army straight up, because herO knows his timings very well. But obviously, because he puts all of his eggs into the attacks, he's often quite vulnerable at home, and I'm very curious to see if Dark can exploit that.
herO, of course, has been watching those games as well, and he probably thinks of himself as a little bit better than Mr. Creator overall. I've got a feeling that if Dark plays the way that he did yesterday against Creator, that herO is looking at that series and he's like, you know what? I've got a very real chance at taking down Dark in a best of 5 series. There were a couple of uncharacteristic errors, a lot of overlords that came up. I think that in order to beat herO here, Dark is gonna have to play a little bit tighter than he showed yesterday.
Yeah, I think that Dark knows that as well, but he's also such a tournament veteran that he will just look at it in the end of the day. It doesn't really matter. Nobody remembers my games in the end of the day in the round of 12, or how close it was, or whether or not I played perfect StarCraft. That man only wants one thing, and that is to lift the trophy at the end of his journey, and he has done that before. He lifted the BlizzCon trophy, so I think he can get over it as long as he can get the job done today. And it's obviously a brand new day. Maybe he just wasn't quite feeling it yesterday. There is a chance. Obviously, all of these pro gamers are human. Some of them have pretty much only amazing days, but even a guy like Dark is allowed to have an off day. And I guess the real champs still get the job done, even on the off days.
Standard openers here from both players. herO opting to go for that Stargate that he's been playing so well over the last couple of years. He's been favoring a lot of Oracle play, especially then transitioning towards both the Twilight Council and the Forge is his most common follow-up. I'm assuming that's probably what we'll see right here in game number 1 of this series. Yeah, there's the Oracle coming up. Sometimes he sticks around on 1 Oracle, sometimes he goes 2, but he goes all the way up to like 6. I'm personally a big fan of the mass Oracle style, but if I were to make a guess, I think he's probably going to stick to about 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's very situational, but there are some moments where if the Zerg is just trying to break you with a lot of units on a relatively weak economy, that you can indeed just keep on building Oracles. If you've invested in that Stargate early on, you may as well, because the Queens making their way to the other side of the map, not something we see every single game on this map pool, because A, the maps are a lot bigger, B, Queens need creep right now to drop transfuse, so you just see that a little bit less. And hey, if there's no NTI, you may as well just crank out a few more Oracles. You know what's kind of funny is that I had a little chitty chat with herO before the bracket was announced. And I was like, so herO, what are we hoping for? He obviously won his group, so he got seeded directly into the quarterfinals. I was like, hoping for a Zerg, and he's like, I want TVT bracket. I was like, huh? I was like, oh, the winner of herO Marine against Oliveira. He's like, yeah, that's the one I want. Well, it's not quite the one he got, But hey, if he wins this series, he will still go up against one of those two players. So I'm sure that he's looking at that as well. It's like, all right, let's just get this best of 5 done. He is obviously known to be an incredibly strong PvZ player. Now, maybe some of the things that he's gone up against over the last few weeks on the new patch, on the new maps, have put a little bit of fear in his own mind as well. He dropped the series against herO in the group stage, but that doesn't matter because he's in the playoffs and his dream is still alive and he doesn't have to worry about herO anymore.
First couple of oracles, finally getting into the opponent's main base. How many drones will they kill? 3 so far. There's another oracle coming on the back of this as well. A couple of adepts are ready to start pressuring. This is a very normal early game for the Zerg versus Protoss matchup. That being said, though, how much damage can herO really deal? Yesterday in the games that Dark played, we saw 20-something workers going down to relatively conventional aggression.
This is already Oracle number 4, by the way. You mentioned the 4 Oracle, but yeah, there are 2 Oracles chilling behind the main base. There's an Oracle kind of protecting these adepts that I do believe have tried to get some damage done, but they went for the defensive shade instead. But Oracle number 3 grabs a couple of drones, and Oracle number 4 is about to pop on the other side of the map. So maybe herO feels, maybe he's analyzed the games of Dark yesterday, and he says, I feel like you don't respect the Oracles enough. And yes, I can go with my trademark double Oracle and go into Blink Stalkers, but I can also just try to keep on being active, keep on being annoying with these Oracles, and this damage is absolutely starting to add up. I think we're looking at 12 drone kills or so throughout the game. That's 8 at this point, so I guess the timer didn't reset yet. But hey, every single Oracle is still alive, and the Adepts did not sacrifice themselves.
No, you're absolutely right. This is one of those things where if those Oracles can stick around, they can be so valuable as well in the mid-game. And they kill a couple more. Now, sadly for him, he does end up losing one. I think 1 is at least acceptable, but he really doesn't want to lose any more than this. The follow-up is going to be his beloved Blink Stalker into the +1 ground weapons, whereas Dark right now is going into the Bailing Nest as well as +1 melee. He's really forced to defend a little bit better than this, though, right? Because this is already a lot of damage. Don't lose another Oracle, though. Yeah,
and that stasis didn't go off, so that was good. Maybe he listened to you, Loco, and he's like, you know what? I am going to try to clean it up. But yeah, I think so far Dark taking a little more damage than he is supposed to take. Getting 1 Oracle kill is awesome, but he has now lost up to 14 drones. The good news, though, is that he does have that 4th hatchery up. And this is obviously something that herO is going to take a look at. And what's very cool as well is when you take a look at the minimap, you can see that herO is expanding forward. When most Protoss players go up to 4 bases on this map, they're either going to stay at the bottom, or they'll take the triangle, or they take the triangle then the left side, or triangle and the 3rd base that herO took. But herO takes the base in the center, and he said it in one of the video segments that we showed you guys throughout this tournament, where he's like, 100 on offense, not too much on defense. But basically, in herO's mind, if he's forced to defend, he's already losing. So he just always wants to be the aggressor, because he's a believer of the best defense is a strong offense.
One of the Oracles caught off guard. It is going to end up going down right there. That is a little bit unfortunate, but we're already kind of past the Oracle phase. It's nice to have them around, especially when the Ravager pushes hit the battlefield, but I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. Dark now, it's got the 4th hatch. Go ahead.
No, it's important for herO that the next minute or so in this game is going to go well, though, because Dark is up to 84 drones, 4 bases, a hive on the way. These are the kind of pushes and pokes that herO really needs to get a lot done with. And even if he doesn't end the game or he's not able to get Dark out of there, he needs to make sure that he maintains the majority of these Stalkers, that he keeps them alive, and ideally snipes a couple of Queens, a hatchery, and a few drones. He does get the hedge without, honestly, too many issues.
Yeah, the Adepts get cleaned up very easily. They were sacrificed right there so those Stalkers could get the job done. Okay, there's going to be a couple of those stasis wards just to be annoying, but a good amount of damage so far. Here's the counterattack now coming up from Dark. He wants to see if he can potentially trade out a base for a base, and he may very well get his wish. Recall is going to be used right here, so units are going to come in for the defense. It's just 2 Oracles, whereas the Stalkers are just going straight to the natural.
Yeah, but that means you cannot recall the Stalkers anymore either, so herO is just fully sending it. He feels he's got the army to win the game. He needs to keep that War Prism alive at all costs. Seems like the Spore Crawler went down. Spore Crawler siege up in the high ground, but this Protoss army will not get cleaned up. And just like that, herO takes the 1-0 lead. This boy is decisive, Loco.
Yeah, and that was with losing those 2 Oracles as well. Imagine that those were still alive right there to zap away at a bunch of those Zerglings. There's a reason why the man has scored a full 100 out of 100 on the offense. He's just incredibly good at it, right? This was a build that he's been playing, at least when you look at the broad strokes. He's been playing this build for probably about a year right now, maybe even longer than that, but he makes small deviations here and there. He looked at the amount of damage that he did, he looked at exactly what Dark was doing. Dark decided to go for a pretty quick 4th base, quick macro hatchery as well. Guess that herO looked at that, he's like, yo, if you're making all of that, you won't have enough army.
Dark was a greedy boy, because Dark lost, I think, 16 drones at one point against the Adepts and the Oracles, yet he's still firing up a hive, he's still cruising at 84 drones, and obviously that would be great for Dark if herO decides to just sit back, slow down the game, then Dark is able to get away with all of that, and Dark actually has a pretty nice entry into the late game. But herO with his Oracles in the main base, when he dropped the stasis traps, he's like, infestation pit, hive, alright, that means that I don't have to worry all that much, because there is only so much stuff that you as a Zerg can theoretically have after going up to 4 bases, firing up a hive, losing that amount of drones, and making mostly Zerglings, and herO was right.
Fantastic game right there to start things off for our Protoss player. The last Protoss player in this tournament, but luckily for all the Protoss fans out there, he's considered to be the best Protoss player in the world for quite some time right now. Dark having an unfortunate start in that particular game. It's just a couple things here and there, right? He decided to play greedy after losing quite a bit in the early game. He needs to make sure he doesn't take that damage in the first place.
Yep, and Dark will know that too. It's easier said than done though. You can play 20, 30, 40 games against great Protoss players and feel like, oh, my defense against Oracles is pretty good. But then you go up against the likes of herO and your queens will be just a touch out of position. But that is all that herO needs. Just sweep in there and get a couple of drones. Let's see how game 2 plays out on Altitude, the biggest map we currently have in our map pool. Bottom left side, taking the 1-0 lead with some Oracles and a lot of Blinky boys. Dragon Phoenix Gaming's herO.
And the opponent all the way in the opposite corner of the map, looking pretty solid in game number 1, but he certainly needs your energy. Make some noise for Dark.
We mentioned it a couple of times yesterday, even though Dark got the W of a creator, it wasn't the best Dark we've ever seen. It wasn't the cleanest performance. Eventually, it is very important for him to just get a clean game on the board. I think Dark came in as one of the favorites to win the entire event, and if he wasn't one of your top 4 favorites, he was without a doubt one of your top 8 favorites. Like, you always expect this man to make quarterfinals. He's done that 4 years in a row, but at this point, he really needs a convincing game, a clean game, where he snipes Oracles, where he's on top of Adepts, where he doesn't lose more than 2 or 3 drones against these multiple Oracles, enters the mid game, completely overruns his opponent. Not just a win, but a convincing win. The win that gives you a lot of confidence leading into the next games as well, because at this point, it's been a while that we've seen a flawless performance out of Dark.
No, you're definitely on point. The thing is, right, herO did not play a style that is tricky. He doesn't necessarily play a game in the previous one that we just now saw, where he's trying to catch the opponent off guard. He opened up in the most conventional way possible, and he'll be happy to play that way in any game of this particular best of 5. He'll probably bust out the strategy at least a couple more times with maybe a few small deviations here and there. Sometimes he goes for 2 Oracles, sometimes for 4, sometimes he goes for 2 Adepts, sometimes he doesn't. There's a lot of varieties, a lot of small changes he can make to this style, but broadly speaking, I expect him to do a lot of the similar builds again, especially on a map as big as this one.
Yeah,
there it is.
But the Oracles are just kind of the start. Like, the real question for Dark is what is coming after that? Is it Stalkers? Yes, well, okay, how many gases are you using with the Stalkers? Because do I have to worry about High Templars and Storm? Do I have to worry about Archons? Are you staying low on gas? We're getting a lot of gateways and they're going to try to overrun me with Stalker Zealot? Or is he going back to that double Robo Bay after the Stargate that we've seen a couple of times from herO as well? And these things can just be very tricky as a Zerg to find out. So the first 3-4 minutes, they may look the same, but after that, herO has like 10 different ways to follow it up.
No, for sure, yeah. He likes to go for a couple of those Twilight varieties as well. We've even seen him go for some Glaive Adepts after those Oracles too. Maybe not necessarily the most popular build right now in the current meta, but herO is capable of playing it all, right? And it's really difficult for Zerg at this point to figure out exactly what it is they're playing against. I mean, yeah, you can go for Overlord Speed and figure it out, but Overlord Speed is pretty expensive. You can sacrifice another Overlord as well, but that also is not free. So a lot of Zerg players opt to, yeah, mostly just scout the gases at the 3rd base, maybe try and get a glimpse of a structure here and there. It's very difficult for Dark to figure it out, but He needs to play a very clean, I want to say first 5, 6, 7 minutes in this particular match.
I'm curious to see if Dark is willing to bust out the Roach, Nidus, Queen, Swarmost again. I think if he wants to do it in this best of 5, I would almost say that this is a perfect map for it. It's going to be very hard for herO to really find where those Nidus networks are popping on his side of the map. And I think there is a lot of potential in the Locust Wave, whether it's the first or the second, or we just keep on spamming it for a while. Dark did it yesterday in Game 1 against Creator, and he didn't necessarily got as much done as I think he was hoping for, but he did end up winning that game in the end. And I have the feeling if he wants to do it in this best of 5, this is a perfect map for it.
Okay, he's once again preparing himself for the multi-pronged aggression that herO is going to throw at him. It's once more going to be at least 3 Oracles. Let's see how much damage herO can deal. Queens this time around in the right place at the right time. They're going to cycle around those Oracles towards the third base. Okay, 3 drones, but quite a bit of damage right there on the Oracle too. Queen comes in from the main base. I actually don't mind this at all for Dark. Dealing that much damage to those 2 Oracles for 4 drones, I think it's pretty acceptable.
Yeah, acceptable is what it is. Like, I think 4 is kind of where you draw the line where you're like, okay, I'm absolutely still in it. I have nothing to worry about. But I think by the time you lose 4 drones, you would much rather just kill 1 Oracle and have the other Oracle full on HP. Because, yeah, he did some damage on these 2 Oracles, but they are nowhere near dying. So it's acceptable, it's playable, but Dark needs to start doing even better than this already. The death count is a little bit higher than it was in the previous game, or at least they're all together this time around. I'm not quite sure what the link count is at. The Queens, it's important that the Queens don't get Alger baited as the Shade gets cancelled. Well, in the end, it's 2 drones falling. There were 16 Lings out. This is nice, by the way, for herO, just flying around with these Oracles here.
Yeah, he's going to snipe the drone, right? There's going to be a drone moving on over, trying to get that 4th base done. Well, I said that, and of course, right as I did, the Oracles decided to leave that position. But he was hunting for it. He knows the timing at which Dark likes to take a 4th base. And, well, I guess this already means that Dark was ever so slightly delayed right here in the earlier stages of the game.
If all 3 Oracles activate Pulsar Beam and get on top of a Morphing Hatchery, you can definitely get a cancel on it. And Creep was not connected all the way to that base. So I have the feeling that if herO really wanted to, he would have been able to get 1 cancel on it. But he decided to play it safe. We're looking at the work accounts, though. We're now 6 minutes into a game, and the work account is dead even. Any Protoss player will be more than happy with that. Normally, it goes around like 4 minutes, 20 seconds, 4 minutes, 30 seconds. That's kind of when the work accounts are even. And after that, Zerg is supposed to take the worker lead for quite some time. And only once the 4 bases are fully saturated, that's when the Protoss is catching up in the work account. This right now does not look pretty for Dark. He's down 5 workers, and the only thing he's got really going for himself is the fact that he's got a quick +1 melee. But how much is he gonna get done with +1 melee when the Oracle count is still at 3 and they have plenty of energy?
Yeah, he gets shut down over here as well as he tries to harass that Protoss 3rd base. One problem here for Dark as well is that he started up the lair at a relatively normal timing, but the Baneling Nest is pretty far behind. He now goes for an Infestation Pit as well, so I assume he wants to go for that Ling Bane style, but it is a little bit dicey, especially since he didn't send in an Overseer Scout. He doesn't really know exactly what it is he's playing against. It's gonna be that Robo Bay play that you were talking about, and in this case, it could even be Colossus.
Yep, absolutely. I think that would go pretty well with the rest of the army. Seems that Dark just wants to go into another quick hive, and he's like, hey man, my Lings were so amazing yesterday against Creator, why not just do this all over again? herO does not want to randomly lose Oracles, because these Oracles are going to be good against Zerglings. For the rest of the game, no matter how well these Lings are upgraded, having 3 Oracles with energy is great. There is our hive, by the way, 7 minutes and 30 seconds. That is quick. Archon drop has some potential here, because the only unit that Dark currently has are the Zerglings. Of course, there's a little bit of Queen support too. First unit out of the Robo Bay now, or as soon as the Robo Bay finishes up, is the Disruptor, by the way. I think I'm with you where I would have preferred to see a Colossus, but a single Disruptor, I guess, is never bad. herO gets off a great Scout. I can honestly think the Dark is playing a very risky game. And if herO just gets up to, 170 supply and marches to the other side of the map, I'm not sure how Dark is ever going to defend with just Lings and Queens and maybe a couple Banelings.
This Roach Warren is incredibly late, quite literally like 3 minutes later than what we normally see. Oracles once again trying to be annoying, but they do get denied. Zerglings here getting a bit of damage done, they thought, but then, well, the Warp Prism showed up. This is definitely a very greedy game. Up until this point, we've just had Zerglings and a couple of Banelings. There's a Roach Warren done right now, but no Roach upgrades. There's no Hydra Den, there's no Lurker Den, there's a Hive finishing up. He can obviously make units that are gonna be amazing. However, will they be done before this attack from herO goes across the map?
Well, a couple of Lings are gonna try to buy some time, but there are too many Zealots, some static defenses. The Banelings are coming in from the top left side. It's kind of weird by herO, because the Archon and the Prism is on the left side. But right now, herO has obviously a lot of potential in this War Prism, in these Archons, and he's just looking for free damage by the looks of it. Since he went up to 4 bases, he doesn't feel that he's too committed, and he's like, I'm not going to lose to a 4-base Dark with Lings and Banes. These Banelings will blow up a pile, and maybe a couple of probes go down, but Dark honestly needs a whole lot more than he's been getting so far. He is now heading into Ultras, but it's gonna take a little while. Before these Ultras here, the Disruptors get surrounded though. We do fire a couple of Novas, and the Novas are able to buy some time, but hey, getting 3 Disruptors like this is a pretty sick call. It seems that the War Prism went down on the other side of the map as well. herO has made this very messy, very scrappy, and hard on himself. Now the War Prism just flying home, so he just left 2 Archons behind apparently.
There's a lot of chaos on the map, right? So I guess he accidentally forgot about it. It's working out pretty well so far for Dark, but I'm with you. This is very, very greedy. Ultras are going to be good once they're done, but they need more upgrades. Chitinous Plating is an essential upgrade here, so how in the world is he going to fight this army if herO decides to put all of his eggs in one basket?
It really comes down to the Banelings. Can the Banelings get great connections with the Zealots? Well, a couple of them work quite good, but there are still a few Archons remaining, but here comes the Swarm. That's a lot of Zerglings. Couple Stasis Traps go down, though. Disruptors show up as well, trailing from behind. Dark doesn't have too many battle units here. He needs a couple of extra Lings to show up, or he needs his Stasis to run out. But right now it feels like it's taking forever before these Lings can fight again.
These Archons are getting so much value. The Stasis is going to run off very, very shortly, but there's already so much damage done right here by this Protoss army. What a curious little attack here. Ultras are coming up, but there's already a Mothership on the production tab as well, as he once again shut down all of these Lings.
Most of the Queens have disappeared, and that means that this War Prism can just reign supreme, can save every single Archon. 1 Ultra does show up, and I'm afraid it's a day late and $1 short. The Disruptors didn't have a great impact in this game, but it wasn't about the Disruptors. It's a couple Zealots, it's a couple Archons that is getting the job done, and it just seems that Dark is trying to get away with stuff he's not able to get away with, even though I gotta say, that was an insanely good Stasis Trap by herO, because if all of these Lings were able to just surround and go to town on these Archons, there's actually a chance that Dark does hold, and then it does become a good game for him. So that Stasis was monstrous. But yeah, now Dark is just in all sorts of trouble, and it just feels that even though herO didn't have the best game, not the cleanest game, herO is getting the job done here.
This Ultralisk rush is cool, right? In theory, it could work really quite well, but herO is already 1 step ahead of him as he's transitioning towards that Skytles army. Now, Ultras can still be good against that army as well, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm convinced by the strategy that Dark decided to go for in this particular match. Either way though, 4-base economy right now for our Protoss player. Dark struggling to keep 3 bases up and running. Now he sees the first carrier. He'll soon see the Mothership as well. Yeah, he doesn't have anything that shoots up. GG is cold as herO wins the 2nd game in this Best of 5 series as well.
Yeah, I love how safe herO played that in the end. He's like, I'm gonna go for a recall just in case. He's probably been watching these games from yesterday. Yeah. He sees a couple of Lings and he's like, just in case. And it's like, no, that was actually the only Lings that were out there. So
Ward, for instance.
Yeah, I think the Archons or the Zealots alone with tiny little Zealot bar pin and 1 or 2 cannons would have been enough to deal with that counterattack. But herO probably looked at his own production tab and said, I've got a Mothership on the way, I've got a couple carriers on the way. There is no need for me to keep on attacking. I've already done the damage that I was looking for. And obviously he was right. He won. Dark just gave up. He said, there is no way that I can make something of this game. We're getting ready for game 3. I do generally wonder indeed how that fight would have played out without the Stasis Trap, because Archons are fantastic against Lings until Lings can get full surrounds. And if the Archons are kind of surrounded 1 by 1, then Lings are actually not even that terrible against Archons, because they can nibble through them quite quickly. But that Stasis was incredibly big.
Yeah. The fact that herO thought about it, he's like, okay, the battle is probably going to take place over here. He had to obviously start up those Stasis wards before the Zerglings arrived. And yeah, he definitely prepared incredibly well right there, reading his opponent like a book. Dark now needs to win 3 maps in a row to move on to the semi-finals of IEM Katowice, and herO seems to be on fire. One strategy that Dark has been fond of over the last couple of months is the proxy hedge. But are you really gonna bring out a proxy hedge at this stage in the tournament when your tournament life is on the line?
Perhaps, because maybe the macro games it is not quite working out. We'll have an answer to that question real soon, as we have loaded into Neo Humanity. In the top left side, the man who has taken the 2-0 lead, honestly without too many issues so far. 1 map away from making it into the semi-finals of IEM Katowice 2023. Give your love to herO.
That's a lot of love. That is a lot of love. And the opponent spawning right here in the bottom right-hand corner of Neo Humanity, currently 2-0 behind. Make some noise for Dark. Quite a lot of noise.
The funny thing is that I actually wonder how that game would have played out as well if we would have built Colossus instead of Disruptors.
Those Disruptors did very little. Right?
Yeah, and then they even got surrounded, obviously, and yeah, they were able to buy some time, get a couple shots up. One Disruptor came in from the back, connected with a couple of Zerglings, but like I don't even think that herO had the best Zealot splits against Banelings, because that's the few things that I get really excited over. I think it's very difficult as a Protoss, especially on creep, to spread your Zealots properly, because you don't want to only run with your Zealots, because if the Zealots are running, they are not fighting. So you kind of want to make sure that they are still dealing damage and they fight, but the moment you make them attack move, they all clump up. So I was like, how is he going to do it? He's going to use some hold position, and he kind of just ran them back and forth, and the Baneling connections were honestly quite big, but even that was not enough. And if we think of a game like StarCraft 2, there's obviously errors that we see. Sometimes a player makes an error because the other guy is playing really well and he's forcing him to make a mistake. But Dark had a pretty gnarly supply block in that previous game at 142, 142. Started building 8, 9 Overlords at once. It's just, herO's playing good, but Dark is not bringing his A game yet, and he really needs to step it up. Otherwise, this will be the end of his IEM Katowice 2023.
Yeah. I'm a little bit confused by the Roach Warren timing in that game as well. We saw a Hive coming up right around the same time as the Roach Warren went down. I guess that Dark looked at his opponent's army. He's like, just Zerglings and Banelings aren't gonna cut it. A lot of Zergs lately have been fond of playing Hydras, but Dark just skipped all of that tech and he decided to go straight into Ultra play, which, I mean, I guess can work out, but I'm not 100% convinced that that was necessarily the best play.
It can absolutely work out against a Protoss player that's respecting you too much, is too timid to move out,
yeah,
right?
But
and
not against herO.
Yeah, but herO is the guy that's in your face all the time. So to cut that many corners against a guy like herO, and it indeed just felt to me, that Roach Warren, to answer your question, it felt to me that Dark was second-guessing himself, where he's like,
yeah,
I want to get up to a quick Hive, I want to get Ultras out, but I can probably not survive on only Lings and Banes.
And then he kind of tried.
Yeah, but I'm going to try anyway, but I should probably get a Roach Warren. It was just all over the place, and we know that on this level, this deep into the tournament, against the best Protoss player in the world, you cannot be second-guessing yourself. You need clean build orders that make sense.
The Queen right there, sleeping on the job for just a little bit as it is. Adept comes in and is just being an absolute nuisance. Getting a drone here would be really nice. Ooh, probably could have gotten it if you decided to target it down. Either way, though, not a bad beginning right here for herO, as he's now also shooting away at that Overlord. Should not be able to kill it all the way, but at the very least, he's gonna be able to push it back. And this is one of those small deviations, right, that we talk about. herO just always mixing it up just a bit, even when he's playing the build order that looks very similar to yeah, what he's already been playing. They're playing a little bit of a game called Catch the Overlord, where the Overlord is going back and forth, but eventually he can only lose. It's not a very good game.
If I play this game, I've got 700 minerals in the bank, man. I really don't like this game.
That's the way Zerg wins, I guess.
Yeah, I don't like this game at all, Loco. Some people might be a bit confused on why would herO go for the Oracles every single game. Isn't it predictable? It can be predictable, but certain strategies in StarCraft 2 just come down to execution, as the crowd apparently really appreciated the effort of killing that Overlord. I'm glad you guys are getting excited. herO likes his opening for various reasons. Number one, it's very safe against all-ins. Number two, it's going to give you a lot of scouting information on the other side of the map. And number three, there is potential to deal damage like we've seen every single game so far with Pulsar Beam. So it's not so much that this is his strategy, it's more that this is the opening and he's going to take it from there. And this opening makes sense for all the reasons I just mentioned.
Okay, getting a couple of drone kills so far in that main base. Adept once again ready to move forward. Zerglings are going to be a necessity here in order to clean all of this up. as just queens alone are going to be a little bit too... Ooh, okay, I thought for a second he was going to commit there.
Yeah, there are a couple cute spots there, actually.
Yeah, there are some cool spots between the mineral fields and all that, but I think that's a little too ambitious here.
Yep. I think that's the kind of stuff that you go for if you feel like you're the underdog or you need to do something crazy as a Protoss. But herO has probably been feeling pretty good about this series after watching Dark against Creator yesterday. And he's got to be feeling even better right now after the first 2 games. So for herO, there is no need to roll the dice and try to get rid of units early on in the hopes and dreams of dealing some damage. Like, no, he's just going to play it very calm, very safe, very conservative for the beginning. Control the game and get up to the point where he gets comfortable with these terrifying Protoss armies.
Couple of adepts right there got killed on the right side of the map. And speaking of playing safe though, Dark is really playing very safe in this game as well. He's only at 49 workers right now. Well, as I say that, he finishes up another round of drones. But he's been playing it pretty conservatively. He's not really been losing too much. Stasis Ward should also be denied quite easily. Queen over there on the right side taking a lot of damage. But, ooh, the drone's actually body blocking her. She is not gonna go down. Very nice control right there by Dark, as he also kills one of the oracles in the process.
That was honestly high-level play from both for a while, where herO drops the Stasis on the left side and felt there was an opening with the oracles on the right side. But Dark read him like a book there, and he realized which queen he needed to transfuse immediately, microed it back towards the Spore Crawler, and got enough hits off to get an oracle. Finally, something that kind of goes Dark his way in the early game, as he's firing up a couple of roaches. There's the infestation pit. I was wondering about roaches and swarm hulls in the previous game. Well, we didn't see it on altitude. I'm pretty certain we're going to see it here on Neo Humanity, because roaches into a very quick hive, it's possible, but very unlikely with the way that Dark has been playing. I don't see Hydra then. I don't think he likes the lurker style all that much.
Brute Lords if he really wants to, I suppose, but I do think Swarmos are the most likely option here.
Swarmos with a Nidus. And don't forget about these gold minerals, by the way, on the right side. That is a great spot. Like, if you take a look at herO's natural real quick, lovely observer Mapu, you can get a couple of Nidus networks up there, and that would be very annoying to deal with if herO didn't mind that out yet, or if herO doesn't have a way to get units over there very quickly.
herO actually already going into double Colossus production here. That is quite interesting. I don't think... Oh, did he just end up losing an Oracle there? I guess
the second one of the game.
Yeah. What I was going to bring up, though, is that the Oracles, I mean, they're important. They're actually super important against Swarmhost play. We can talk about them for a little while longer, even though we've already talked about Oracles for a long time. But Colossus is quite a strong option here as well. I wonder what herO is assuming here. Maybe he's thinking, okay, it could be that Ling Bane style once again. The Roach Warren will probably not be spotted here with its current positioning. He definitely did not see the infestation pit. So I'm curious to see how herO is going to approach the defense here, as the first 11 Swarm hosts are hitting the battlefield.
Yeah, losing both Oracles against this build specifically that Dark is going for is honestly a nightmare scenario. There's one observer that our observer is showing us is key, by the way, because this can actually be a very big deal in this game, because that can give herO the information that Certus Nidus networks are going up, that herO is not, or that Dark is not aware of yet, that herO knows it. War Prism flying on the right side, but I think at this point herO does not need to be aggressive. herO needs to focus on the defense, something he does not enjoy doing. But here come the first Swarm host, and that natural is very exposed. There is barely any firepower here for herO at the moment.
Swarm host flying on over. Colossus actually very exposed, and one of them falls right away. Now, Colossi are very good at killing the Locust, but look at the amount of probes that fall in the process here as well. This first wave is super critical. Now, keep in mind, with Swarm host, they are going to be on cooldown for quite a while, and that means that for now, Dark doesn't have that much firepower in his army. While those Locusts are on cooldown, he is vulnerable, and that is something that herO can try and exploit.
Yeah, it feels that herO just wants to attack immediately. herO really has no chill ever. I don't think there's a single Protoss out there that loses 13 probes and a Colossus is like, now I should attack. Dark is maxed out, you know, he's not attacking into a weak Dark, and there is sometimes indeed that tiny window where the Swarm hosts are not able to fire another wave of Locusts, but this honestly feels all very ambitious by herO. I think that Dark has the right tools to deal with this army. Is it going to be easy for Dark? No. He needs to be careful with his Locusts. He needs to make sure that the Locusts and the Roaches are fighting at the same time, and as long as he can get that done, he should be fine.
Nice movement right here, though, by the Protoss player, forcing that massive Locust wave. Keep in mind that cooldown, it's once again going to be active. Please keep the Colossus alive, though. Okay, he's now starting to juggling them backwards using the War Prism. I think if he didn't lose that Colossus, that would have been quite sweet, but...
Yes, exactly. It was all indeed pretty well done by herO, but he accidentally picked up a Stalker by the looks of it, and because he had a Stalker in the War Prism, there was no space for that other Colossus to hop in. So herO could have had 4 Colossi. Instead, he only has 2, and Colossus are already not all that great against Roaches. He is still going to try again, because this is just what herO does, but there are a lot of Roaches in the mix, a couple of Ravages as well, and Dark, where are the Swarmos at this point? When do we have another wave of Locusts to work with? He wanted to be aggressive with them, but Dark realizes he's going to need them defensively.
He should run again as soon as he sees the Locust, and that's what he decides to do. I don't mind this back and forth here for herO so much, especially if he can force an overextension with, for example, that one Stasis Ward that we see set up. Then again, though, Dark has been maxed out here for a while, right? He's got a good amount of money in the bank. He can replace this quite easily. Aggressive blink forward as he catches all of the Roaches and Ravagers off guard. A couple of Swarmos caught in the middle of that as well. And those Colossi, man, they're not dealing a ton of damage, but they're doing quite a bit.
Double forward blink by herO. The man is a mad lad. The best defense is truly offense by the looks of it. Triple forward blink on top of the Queens, on top of the Roaches, on top of the Ravages, and the Swarm holes were not able to help out this time around. Dark has a lot of supply in the bank.
Oh my god, he just forced the land right there on all of the Locust as well.
Yeah, that's obviously a bit of a mistake by Dark, right? It's obviously great play by herO, but that's not really supposed to happen. Dark had a lot of units coming in from different angles. The Colossus are taking a lot of damage, but herO is so good in protecting these guys with the forward blinks. Dark is in all sorts of trouble. It seems that Dark, his IEM Katowice dreams will end here, and herO makes it into the semi-finals of this World Championship.
And in a dominating fashion as well, winning 3-0 over the man who's considered to be the best Korean Zerg player, one of the very best in the world. Honestly, already this series didn't even look particularly close. Fantastic play right there from herO.
I think the best game for Dark was the 3rd game, and I actually think that he was doing perfectly fine, but right when Dark put in all the Swarmos in the Nidus to get aggressive again on the other side of the map, herO said, "You thought I went home, mate?" And he immediately just went for the